Welcome to Taqueando. I'm your host, Bill Esparza, and I'm on the road this week, coming to you live from Hotel Lafayette in San Diego. I hope you all enjoyed the fish tacos episode. It's a passion of mine. I just cannot get enough of these ensenada style taco de pescado and camarón. And right now, I feel kind of jumpy. I'm like half an hour from the border. I could just go right now and go straight down. But first, I want to talk to you about where I've been eating this week. I'm here in San Diego and I'm about to eat a bunch of stuff, and I can't wait to share that with you next week. But this last week, I had one particular visit that was very interesting to me. I went to Bar Benjamin, and shout out to Ben Hundreds, who's really doing an amazing job. The Benjamin and its burger are making lots of news. It's packed. It's super old school vibey. It's bringing, it's a modern classic already. And now Bar Benjamin is upstairs. Bar Benjamin has only been open a few weeks. I have to say this. I am the wrong guy to bring in to try your cocktails. I'm afraid to try your cocktails. I'm talking about just anyone. I just had a experience with some friends who opened a bar, and I felt so terrible that I hated every cocktail. I'm going to give some advice. I'm going to be talking about somebody a little later in this episode, but this is some advice. When you don't like something, it's okay to admit that. And now I'm an old school guy. I'm old, dudes. I'm 56, okay? My palate has changed over time, I like wine. I like the most tannic wine you can. I like all wine, but tannic wines, acidic wines, natural wine. I like all wine. I love spirits, especially cachaça, agave-based spirits, tequila, mezcal, raicilla. I love, 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 love these spirits. I'm a cognac and scotch fan. Rum. I love spirits. And cocktails, I don't drink a lot of cocktails. I like really old-fashioned, old-school cocktails. Negronis. I love a good Latin American style gin tonic. Now, yeah, and I want to start off by shout out to Spain. I'm going to be talking about Spain today. In Spain, this gin tonic that comes in a nice bowl, it's super refreshing. It's got citrus and it's got herbs. It's got cucumber. That style of gin tonic that you find in Mexico and all over Latin America, I love to death. Give me a good gin tonic at the beginning of a meal, and you've won me over. A great Negroni. I love caipirinhas. There's a few other cocktails. Oh, an extra dry martini. Love Musso and Frank's. Okay, that martini is perfect. The margarita at Casa Vega is beautiful to me. The Casa Vega margarita that comes with the sidecar. But beyond that, what's happening with the new cocktails is not my thing. I've been to so many restaurants where I always try it, but it's just not for me. White Negronis, I haven't had many that I like. Dirty martinis, no thank you. Bartenders that are making their own tonic water. Okay, I'm not going to call out this guy, but I had this bartender, very ambitious, great bartender. And again, I believe these are well-made drinks. They're just not for me. I asked him for this Mexican style, Latin America style gin tonic, and he disappeared for half an hour, made his own tonic water, and it sucked. It had no bubbles. And I'm like, don't you have Cadbury Schweppes there? Come on, just open a bottle and you get those bubbles. And he's like, he refuses. And he was like going off. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. Just give me a damn mezcal, because you've ruined my night. And I don't ever want to have gin tonics from you. Sorry. Even though he's a brilliant bartender. Okay. So I go into Bar Benjamin. Of course, what is it? I'm going to say the new school cocktails, right? Or the latest trend. Now, Ben is really going after something that he feels, okay, this is what Ben says, is that, LA is sort of lacking that just place you go just for drinks, bars like you find now that are popular in Mexico City, in New York, London, like everywhere in the world has these types of bars that are not restaurants. In LA, we have restaurants that also have cocktail menus. That's our thing here. And LA, we're always kind of different. We didn't have a football team for many years. We don't really care about, we were okay. We lived without football for a while. So LA always kind of marches to the beat of its own drummer. And we also we're fine going, let's do it at one stop. Hey, we got traffic here, buddy. So we want to go to the restaurant, get the cocktails, have a great dinner, and we don't want to go anywhere else. But I would say I was very, very impressed. And I ordered cocktails that I hated them when I saw them. Okay. I looked at all the ingredients, too many ingredients for a guy like me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to order what was recommended and I'm going to give it a try. And I tried the spicy Tommy Boy, which was based on the flavors of tom kha, a Thai dish. It had a lot of Thai flavors, and it was really good. And they also have this really cool thing. I don't know, these little drops you could get. Like there was a jalapeno, habanero, and there was even a ghost pepper. So if you wanted to kick up the spice, I actually like that rather than just putting more chili powder. When there's too much spice from the chili powder, I don't enjoy the spicy cocktails. I know a lot of bartenders look at me and they know I'm Mexican and like, oh, you want the spicy cocktails. Well, I don't always want a spicy cocktail, but I did really like this one a lot. And I'm like, you know what? I could order this again. That's big for me. That's a big step. Then there was the Mala Margarita, which had a east, kind of an east meets west. It had chiles and Sichuan peppercorns. And this was also a great cocktail, and I really enjoyed it. Different takes on the margarita. I don't always enjoy them. They're never terrible. Los Angeles is the place for margaritas, and there's a lot of great ones. And this one was also really, really nice, and I did kick it up again with a little bit of those ghost pepper drops. And then I also had the Odd Couple. Again, more of a sweet side drink that is not something I usually enjoy. It's a white chocolate and olive oil infused tequila, and it's got citrus and some other odd ingredients. I didn't ask, but I'm guessing the Odd Couple it's an odd pairing of ingredients. I made that up, and it's probably completely wrong, but it was really refreshing. And I do enjoy refreshing. I like caipirinhas on the beach in Brazil. I love palomas in Mexico when it's hot. I like a piña colada. I've had those in many parts of the world. The daiquiri in Cuba is amazing. It is so damn hot in Cuba. You want a daiquiri all day long. I do enjoy that. And this was really good. And this is a reflection right now of the global bar culture that's happening all over. Ben wants to recreate that. And I believe if that's the goal, he has done that. This is one of the few bars I could say where I wouldn't just come in. Okay, you see me come in your bar and you know I don't like your cocktails. I order wine, I order spirits. I might try something. I'll try one cocktail and then I don't order any more cocktails. But I absolutely would come back to Bar Benjamin for cocktails. So amazing. The food was cool. There's a charcuterie board from the Cheese Store of Beverly Hills. Okay, good call. Deviled eggs, not a bar food, but guess what? They're really delicious, and I order them every time I'm there. So an odd choice for bar food, but really, really good. And I guess if you do really great deviled eggs, you should put them on your bar menu. There was a nice steak tartare, crudité, little bites while you have cocktails. And it's a nice dark room. It's got great ambiance. Very similar ambiance to downstairs in the Benjamin, that old school bar. So I never say I want to come to, that I show up disliking a place, but yeah, I showed up thinking, okay, I'm going to go to this bar and it's going to be cool to see Ben and see the new spot, but I can't see myself going to it. But okay, my mind has been changed. It's possible, folks. I actually am a very, very open-minded person. Now, I'm opinionated, but I do have an open mind. And I'm blown away. Great cocktails, highly recommended. I can't say that about a lot of the bars that are popular right now, and that's because those drinks are just not for me. And I've tried and tried and tried. I will not stop trying. And again, just so you know, this is the thing about being a writer, that I think is really amazing. I do not have to like cocktails to write about them. And I don't have to enjoy that cocktail to say something positive about it, because I do understand that there's a culture of people that really enjoy this. So I will talk to those people and I will get their feedback. So I'll interview people that like those types of drinks, and that will help inform my opinion about how to write about it. So writing is, it's not like, an influencer where you're just like, you basically have a 7th grade palate and you're going out to try food for the first time and talk about it. So a writer spends a lot of time tasting a lot of different things with an open mind. And there are some things I've met writers that hate certain ingredients that kind of blows me away. I'm actually surprised how many writers don't like things, but we can still write about it because, again, we understand people like this and people appreciate it. And that's really the job, right? To be able to talk to people about something that is happening out there, something that's interesting to people, and to be able to talk intelligently, informatively about it, and to also tell a great story. A restaurant and a bar tells a story. And Bar Benjamin, you are telling a story about the hot cocktail scene in Los Angeles. And speaking of telling a story, Taqueando is powered by Acquired Taste. Be sure to listen to our sister pod, the LA Food Podcast. New episode drops this Friday. Luca and Saul will be breaking down the news of the week, as well as releasing an interview with the legendary Santa Monica chef Rafael Luneta, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And without further ado, vamos a taquear. In addition to, where I've been eating, I also have some things to get off my chest. First off, I want to talk about my good friend. I'd say I can call her a friend now. I've been on her podcast twice, Eva Longoria. I think you guys might have seen, if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen me talking about searching for Mexico. And a lot of the issues that I had with the show back then were more about just the lack of, my issues were giving a lot of credit to Spain and other places rather than just focusing on the real, true indigenous traditions of Mexico. But of course, Eva Longoria is amazing. And, she's now got Searching for Spain. And I think Searching for France is coming up next. So CNN has moved on. They've been trying to find their next Bourdain. I'm not, that's not really fair to call anyone the next Bourdain, but sort of the next host that they're going to focus on. And that is now Eva Longoria. Stanley Tucci has gone bye-bye. I don't know about you. Actors, this food thing is very hard. So you actors out there, it's really hard to make that transition. I have not seen one actor come close to the presence that Anthony Bourdain had and some of the other very popular hosts. But Eva Longoria has that thing. People are tuning in. Stanley Tucci, super interesting character actor, but I think a little dry on camera when it comes to talking about food. So goodbye, Stanley, and hello, Eva. Now, a little revenge. Eva is in Spain, and she's representing herself a lot. She's talking about her Mexican-American heritage coming from Texas, and she's relating her experiences when she's tasting these dishes. Now, of course, the conversation differs depending on the type of person she's on screen with, a local fixer, some kind of food expert, or a personality. So this week's episode was San Sebastian. Now, I have been talking a lot about Spain the last year or couple years on my Instagram stories. Spain is looked to as a source for Mexican cuisine. It is not. It's actually the opposite. Spain, if you actually understand Spanish food, not just going to the fancy restaurants, but if you really do some research. Now, let me just say this. Spanish cuisine is amazing. I love it. And Spain has their own cuisine. Okay, I want to make that very clear. I think every country has its own cuisine. But a lot of times we give Spain all this credit for things that did not come from Spain. Like, for instance, rice. Rice came from the Moors. It came from Asia, but it was introduced to Spain through the Moors. And even not just rice, but the rice dishes. So the idea of paella is a Moorish, concoction. Something that's the national dish of Spain. So in this episode, Eva was talking to Marty Buckley, who's she calls her pincho expert. And if you guys know what pinchos, they're a version of tapas there in San Sebastian. Now, it was very fascinating. They sort of started the expression of pincho started as a resistance to the fascism that was going on, the fascist regime in Spain. And these expressions came out of there. And one of them was the Gilda. So in 1946, the movie Gilda came out starring Rita Hayworth. And one of the early pinchos is named after her, called the Gilda. Now, this pincho, it's a classic in San Sebastian. And it's made with guindilla peppers and it also has anchovies and an olive. But the main part of that dish, like the most quintessential pincho from San Sebastian, is chili peppers, my friends. Okay, we all know, if you listen to this podcast, if you listen to me, you read me, or if you know anything about food, you know all chili peppers and sweet peppers come from the Americas. They came from the Spanish and Portuguese would have brought them over during the colonial period, and a lot of them they're all coming from indigenous cultures. The indigenous people of South America, Central America, what we call Mexico now. Not only they got these peppers, but they also got the cooking techniques and so many other ingredients. Think about the most important ingredients in Spanish cuisine: tomatoes, potatoes, chili peppers. The red in the chorizo comes from chili peppers. And so the Gilda has these guindilla pepper, which is Capsicum annuum species. I mean, you could call that an indigenous dish of Mexico, eating chili peppers on a stick, I mean, but the thing is that at that moment, they did not talk about Mexico at all, like the influence, because Marty was just kind of going off about how, these wonderful Spanish, the history was amazing. So if you watch the episode, you're going to learn a lot about the history under Franco and how the pinchos became to be popular. But think about some other popular pinchos. Tortilla española is potatoes. It's a base of potatoes. Those came from Peruvian culture, Inca. Okay, the what we call the Inca civilizations produced all these potatoes that went everywhere in Europe. Ensalada rusa, which is a potato salad. Again, another potato dish. La jardinera boquerón, which is an anchovy, has diced bell pepper and onion as a dressing, kind of almost like a salsa. The stuffed pepper, the piquillo, pimiento relleno de bonito, which is a very common, another pincho. These are, the base of these dishes would be coming from South American indigenous cultures and the indigenous cultures of Mexico. And it's fascinating to me that you would have a show where you talk about the Spanish influence on something and then not mention the Peruvian or Mexican influence. I'm going to say Peruvian, Mexican, as the modern countries that had these indigenous cultures. All this food comes from indigenous culture. Now, the other dish, which is crazy, the black beans from Tolosa, alubias de Tolosa, are famous in Spain, and they have this wonderful technique. What's beautiful about Spanish? I'm going to say this is beautiful, and my producer's probably gonna stare me down after I say this. But what's beautiful about Spanish cuisine is they didn't really have anything. It was all things that were brought in from other places. So really what they have are proteins. And of course, they are great at cooking these proteins and also developing the cooking techniques to get the most out of the flavors. Now, there is no Mexican alive that would just eat beans and salt. That's how we start, but then we do all these amazing things with beans. I'm sorry, Spain, you don't touch us. You don't touch any Latin American country when it comes to beans, but alubias de Tolosa are beautiful, right? They grab the pot and they won't break the beans, no mashing, no refried beans. And they move the pot around beautifully to, they're just taking extra care with these beans. Again, what are they serving them with? Piparras, which are pickled chilies. And so I'm looking at this, it's like beans and chiles is a Spanish dish. Get the fuck out of here. How just the craziness that Spaniards can look us straight in the eye and say this, and then talk about that they gave us chicken. Chicken, the most boring protein on every menu. So in the Madrid episode, this is where I feel like the conversation got interesting, because Eva, the Tejana, was talking with Alejandra Morrison, a Venezuelan who's living in Spain, and she was talking about pan con tomate. Again, another iconic Spanish dish, which is tomatoes on bread. I'm sorry, that's a Mexican dish, indigenous dish. Morrison says like the tomato comes from Mexico, and she also was pointing out that the chorizo got its color from peppers. And so they had that conversation, and that made me feel really good. Thank you, Eva, for this justice, to hear that Mexico and Latin America, the indigenous cultures of these countries, contributed to Spanish food. And again, Spain has its food. We don't eat pan con tomate. We do many other, I think, more interesting things with tomatoes. But I love a good pan con tomate. And definitely tune in to Searching for Spain. I'm really loving it. Eva's a great host, a wonderful person. Also listen to Eva's podcast. Be sure to listen to Hungry for History with Eva and Maite. It's a wonderful podcast. Okay. Even the ones that I'm not on. Now, this is something new on the podcast. I mean, it's only 5 episodes in, so everything's going to be very new. But it's time for shit review of the week. Now, I'm not going to do this every week, okay? So, don't get your hopes up. Unless you demand it, unless you ask for this. I feel like a lot of people want this from me, but shit review of the week goes to the LA Try guy, Alex Cottrell, for his takedown of El Tepeyac in East LA. Now, I heard from actually a follower was saying this is a new thing that influencers are like going after institutions. Is that a thing? My producer Luca is actually saying it's always been a thing. So, but okay, I get that. I get it. You're going to come in and you're just going to hate on it. Now, it would be nice, I guess, if it was organic and you really, or, you could say, I see what the attraction is for this place. Because obviously, any place that's been around a long time has a fan base, has people that are regulars that have supported it for a long time. Also, is it a great thing right now to take down institutions when they're closing? I kind of want to say, fuck you. We just lost Papa Christos. We lost Greenblatt's Deli, Pacific Dining Car, and many other institutions are kind of on the ropes right now. So I don't know. El Tepeyac is fine, but I mean, I'm assuming they're fine. But yeah, not a cool thing to do, I think, right now. And I'm a person who talks and is critical, but I don't. If you kind of look at my history, there's really been a handful of places that I've talked about in a negative light. No, I'm not trying to qualify that. I mean, whatever it is, whatever you can. If you say, well, it's a lot of places, that's fine too. But I think right now, it's not a great thing to go after an institution. Be that as it may. I watched this thing, and I actually watched a few other LA Try Guy videos. Now, LA Try Guy is very successful and has a really rapid approach. He's like, it's in his mouth and the reviews being spat out in seconds. It comes quick. After seeing a few videos, I did see a pattern. LA Try Guy doesn't like beans and makes faces when he has beans in his mouth, which is, okay, that's a weird thing. You're going to a Mexican-American restaurant and you don't like beans. I feel like you should say, you know what? By the way, I hate beans. And so anytime there's going to be beans, I'm going to hate it. I mean, how come you're ordering beans? Get something that doesn't have beans on it. But you're ordering Mexican-American food. I don't even get that. All right. Now, on this episode, the criticism towards El Tepeyac was over their crunchy taco, their hard shell taco. You were making fun of, or LA Try Guy was making fun of the amount of cheese. Well, that's pretty much every single hard shell taco. It's the one you had at home, taco night. Every culture did taco night in the 70s. I mean, being a child from the 70s and 80s. And it's also known as the black taco. So it's very popular in the black community as well. And it always has a lot of cold industrial cheddar cheese on top. It's not ever going to have a little bit. It's always a lot, right? So there was dissing the fact that there was a lot of cheese. There wasn't seasoning on. And I think the verdict was it was better than Tito's, which I think Tito's, people like Tito's, and not as good as Chuy's, which is sort of the craft version of the hard shell tacos. Chuy's, Tacos Dorados, everyone says they're the best. I'm thinking, okay, if you're in between Tito's and you're in between Chuy's, you're good. But this dish does not have much of a range, my friend. I mean, I don't know what you expect from one cluster of cold cheddar cheese to the next. I don't even know what you're talking about, I mean, these are some tasty things inside a hard shell. The ground beef is never going to be the best beef dish you've ever had. It's chopped tomatoes, onions. There's the cold cheese, a lot of it, and then there's usually a salsa that goes with it that's made for that kind of taco. And I think if you're in between those traditions of Tito's and Chuy's, the new tradition, you're good. It's just an average taco. So I felt like that was over the top. Like you're an actor. LA Try Guy is an actor. So overacting, my friend. Oh, and then you tried taquitos. Okay. Now, again, taquitos, I don't care whether it's flautas, taquitos, tacos dorados, those fillings are supposed to be bland. And I'm not saying they don't have any seasoning, but it's basically just shredded chicken. And you go to many places in Mexico, and when you have flautas, they're going to have shredded chicken or cheese inside or potatoes, and it's not highly seasoned. We're eating the salsa. Your favorite flauta stand in Mexico City is because they have the best salsa. That's where you go. One of my favorite places in Los Angeles, Los Dorados, has incredible salsas, and they beautifully just paint those salsas right on the flautas, right? But you order taquitos and you're trying the chicken inside. Like, I mean, this is not very smart. This is supposed to be that way. You're going to eat the taquito with all the things. It's a Mexican American combo plate, so you're eating it with the beans, the rice, the salsa, guacamole, and so the taquito is just a device for eating all that other stuff, right? It's never going to be super seasoned, so you can eat it by itself. So that to me is a fake ass flex. This whole takedown was half baked. And if you don't like, I mean, I'm not talking about not liking it. It's okay to not like it, of course. But you had the Hollenbeck, which is a big burrito. It's very big. It's actually a burrito you eat with a fork and a knife. Inside, it's got a 1-to-1 ratio of beans, rice, and chile verde, and it's also got the yellow cheese. So it's pretty even inside, and of course you can't lift it up. It's not meant to lift up. So they pile on chile verde. So you have, once you count the chile verde on top, the chile verde inside, there's plenty of chile verde. Now, you did say that was tasty, but you made a face at beans, which, again, that's weird. Mexican American food, any Mexican cuisine, we like beans, and we make them really good, you know? And so you said there were too many beans, but literally right next to your fork. Like, I don't know, you can't do this, but it's your fork, buddy. You can stick your fork into the pork. You can fork the pork, right? And put it with the beans, and you can build your bite. That's kind of what you're doing there. So you seem to have just grabbed a part that had a lot of beans and then tasted the pork separately. Well, they go together. I would not order the taquitos at El Tepeyac. I would definitely do the Hollenbeck. My expectations from the Hollenbeck are not that it changes my life. It's just a really wonderful comfort dish that's been around a long time. I think you can, as an adult, take your fork and pick up some pork with the beans. And so I think that review was like Keanu Reeves and Bram Stoker level acting. This might be another episode at some point talking about this, what influencers are doing. Influencers in general are great in their own lane. Like they have a food culture that they come from, that they understand. It might just be burgers or sandwiches. Some of you influencers are so bad that really, if it's not a burger or a sandwich, you kind of lose your mind. You can't even articulate anything beyond that. But, when you go out, at least ask the waiters, ask somebody in the restaurant, how do you eat this food and what should I be doing? And if you don't like beans, maybe don't review Mexican food. I mean, that's a suggestion. I would say that the challenge for I'm going to try to I'm going to try to put this in a positive light here. The challenge for being an influencer that influencers have is that they are servants to the algorithm, and they have to do content every day. Now, there is no way that you can do content every day and be a reviewer. When I think about food critics, first of all, critics are articulate. I mentioned my great friend and respected colleague, Bill Addison, who is a critic. He can tell you why he likes the restaurant. He can write it. He can express it in writing, and he can talk about that. So I think in order to be a food critic, that's what I think. Now, I understand people are talking about new food critics, and there are people that have risen to that status where they're considered critics. Now, I don't consider that person a critic if they can't write it. Okay, elitist, you can say what you want about that. I'm okay. Let me be elitist, all right? And I'll agree with you. Yes, to hell with these elitist food writers. But I think that we have to take the time to at least understand where we are. Now, I also understand that's another type of review. I've seen that in the car. The guys in the car like, hey, I just ordered 3 tacos and I don't even know what they are. I'm just going to try it. I've seen that one, and that guy's an idiot. I mean, he really is inarticulate. He can't even talk, you know? And so this is terrible. Is this terrible? Am I a bad person? I actually used one time I was listening to one of those reviews and I did Microsoft dictation, and I had Microsoft write down what the person was saying. I just wanted to read it because I couldn't really follow this guy. And when I read it back, I mean, not only did it sound like gibberish, I'm like, this is not even a language that this person is talking. So it's pretty bad. So now you can hate me even more with the elitism. But again, that's fine. People are entertained. I know the way I see it, an influencer that might have 200,000 followers, 150,000 followers, they have an audience that's like another segment. It's like their own cultivated audience. The people there like what they do. They might be just looking for entertainment. They might be looking for food wrecks, but water has found its own level. It would be nice if you took the time to just ask how you eat something. I think it makes you look better. It makes your review more credible. There's no such thing as consensus on every restaurant. We all have our tastes. What I do understand about food writing is if I write about a place that I like and it's generally received on the positive, there's a majority of people that like it. So if customers and my peers generally agree in a majority percentage, then I feel like, okay, I've written something and I've talked about something that the general audience agrees on. Not 100%. There's never going to be 100%. So, yeah, if you don't like El Tepeyac, I don't care. I know that it's been around for a long time. I know I like it. And I know it's actually in my book, El Mexicano. I wrote about them because they are an important part of the Mexican-American story here in Los Angeles. But yeah, if you're going to go in, I think you should at least know how to eat food like an adult. You should know how to use a fork. You should know that you can put things on a fork and combine them together. It also makes your dining experience much better. Also, LA Try Guy, your friend is eating a lot of food without, like Mexican food, without salsa. Like salsa is part of the dish. You can call me out on this one, but I did watch LA Try Guy in Mexico City, and all he was interested in is finding the cheapest tacos he could find in Mexico City, which I think that's a real uninteresting exercise. There's no way he found the most inexpensive. Honestly, I believe you can do much better than that. But where he was staying, that neighborhood, he found a place, or he went to a place that had al pastor. And I was watching this video, and I think he did not put salsa on the al pastor, he took the pineapple off. He doesn't like pineapple. This is like taking your child to Mexico City, picking off the pineapple, no salsa, doesn't like beans. There's no beans on the al pastor taco. I'm talking about El Tepeyac, of course. But when you're doing that kind of, you're really an uncooperative diner. And I do not understand anyone going to Mexico City and taking the pineapple off the al pastor and not putting salsa on it. That's part of the dish. Now, I did see the other person in the video said it tastes better with the salsas. I mean, it's not made better. It is complete with the salsas. We talked about this fish taco episode, right? You don't just eat the fish, you're eating a dish. The hamburger, you don't pull off the iceberg lettuce and chew on it and make sure it's crispy enough. You eat the hamburger. You're going to experience the iceberg lettuce as part of the burger bite, not an individual ingredient that's actually very boring by itself. And now it's time for Q&A, where I get to answer your questions and comments from the week before. I have index cards here, so don't worry if you don't hear your question answered this week. In a future episode, I will get to it. Some of these we're trying to work into the actual topic. So for this week, from More for Sandris on Instagram, she wants to know, what's with all the hate for the Michelin-starred taquería in Mexico City? So we are talking about El Califa de León, which got a Michelin star. There was a lot of controversy. I know a lot of Mexican chefs were pissed. So there were a lot of Mexican chefs I know that, either only got Michelin recognition, were snubbed, or maybe they have a really great restaurant and only got a bib gourmand, and they see this taqueria. So there was definitely a lot of people commenting about that. Then there's people that just went there, like people from foreign visitors saying, "Well, I went there and I didn't see what the hype was. I didn't get it." Well, okay. Now, think about the number of taquerias in Mexico City. I've spent, years and years, decades traveling through Mexico City, and there's no way, even if you live there and you live to be 100 and you went to a different taqueria for each meal of the day, you would not even scratch the surface. It's crazy. Now, Google estimates between 11,000 and 58,000 taquerias that are registered. Okay, not talking about all these businesses that are off the neighbors know them, people know them there, but they're not counted, right? And then all the Mexican states. There are 32 states total. So outside of Mexico City, all those taquerias, how in the hell are you going to pick one to give a Michelin star? Now they had to give one place a Michelin star. They were doing this in Asia. They've done it in Singapore. So they had to give a Michelin star, one Michelin star, to a street food vendor. I can tell you this. I know why they did it. El Califa de Leon has been around for a long time. It's very simple. The menu is short. So it's basically they're cooking a piece of steak on a flat top, a nice tortilla, and two salsas. Now, the stupidest thing I saw is people were like, I don't even like this taco because they didn't even have onions and cilantro. Can we please use our head? The onions and the cilantro is in the salsa verde. Come on. I mean, are you dumb? It's in there. Okay. You don't need to put onions and cilantro on salsa that already has it in it. We've been talking about this stuff. We've been talking about salsas. We've been talking about tacos a little bit. It's in there. All right. So you have this nice salsa verde, and then you have a salsa roja, which has the spice. And what you're supposed to do is get that steak on the tortilla, put the red salsa, put the green salsa, and it's a very simple bite, and it has complexity. Now, the wonderful thing that separates a Mexican cuisine from every other cuisine on the planet, okay, other cuisines have our chiles, but they don't know how to layer them like we do. So you get that layering of chiles in the salsa verde. If there were chiles, I'm sure there's a little green chile in there, or there's tomatoes, right? Or there's tomatillos. And then you have dried chiles and the salsa roja. Maybe I don't know the recipe and I haven't ever asked them, but it could be a couple of different dried chiles. So you're getting complexities there. And the Michelin inspectors said, "Hey, this is it. It's simple. It's kind of cool because of the simplicity, and it's done well. It's got it's a complex bite in a very very basic taco, and that's it. Okay, and there's no way to pick. There's no way that you pick a taqueria in Mexico and not have controversy. So that's why there's all the hate, and I think it's funny. It's like, come on, just relax, people. They're next time around you're going to be mad for when they pick someplace else. Do I like to play favorites? Okay, maybe I do. Um, you know, Matt Kang, my editor, I've mentioned him already in the Q&A, and we're back to Matt. Hey, Matt's here in San Diego, so I'm going to see him a little later, so I kind of have to show something here. Matt is asking, what's tipping culture in Mexico? Now, I know a lot of people still think that it's between 10 and 15%. Okay, that's for locals, all right? Locals will do 10% maybe at street stands and fondas, cenadorias, family restaurants. But if you're going to a fancy restaurant, you should really think about tipping the same way you do in America. So we are now at the 20%, 22%. You should, as a foreigner, as a visitor from the United States, consider being generous in your tipping. So I would even say for street vendors, for me, for street vendors, I'm tipping between 15 and 20 and even above sometimes, especially if it's really good and you had great service. Remember, the service is on the tortilla, like how they curated that taco for you and put it together. It's like, oh, you know what? You want to give a nice tip because it was so delicious and amazing. You have to remember, you're not a local. You don't get the local privilege of tipping low. So tip generously. And I would say right now, given the political climate, you as an American are already going to have a lot on you when you arrive anywhere in the world. The president is not making it easy for us travelers, us people that like to go and be received with open arms. So I would say tip generously. And I'm going to clear out one from previous weeks here. And this is from Admiral 2110, and who's also, I believe, commented on here before or asked me a question before. What are the best tacos de guisado in Los Angeles? So that's an easy one. Easy, easy, easy. For me, again, the most important thing about a taco de guisado is the concept, the way it's put together. There could be a tasty thing in a tortilla, but if it doesn't represent the tradition properly, it's usually a no-go for me. It's sort of, I just can't do it, okay? So Asadero Chicali does taco de guisado, Mexicali style, and they do it just like you would find over there. The fillings are delicious. They're steak and potatoes, chicharrón and salsa verde, very, very simple dishes, deshebrada, things like that. And they're in beautiful tortillas. They're properly seasoned. And to me, I can go to Mexicali or I could go to Asadero Chicali and I have the same kind of tradition. There's a relationship there that I understand. So that's, to me, if I want to experience tacos de guisado, if I want to take you, Admiral 2110, for tacos de guisado, that's where we're going. Not somebody who's just has stews and they're putting them on tortillas and there's no tortilla is not right. The stews are not right. They're not from a place. They're just random. Again, people enjoy those. I'm not knocking it if you like those. But for me, it has to have some sense of place. Thank you again. Thanks so much for listening to Taqueando. And be sure to leave a comment or a rating. Give us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts.